And the United States leadership has been fundamental and essential in bringing together 7 nations to conclude this historic agreement the President mentioned with Iran to prevent Iran from acquiring a nuclear weapon. Now, that agreement was reached in July, and it will go into effect in 3 days. Let me explain briefly why that is so important. 2 years ago, when our formal negotiations began after we were working on the margins to see if there was a way to come together and have a serious discussion, Iran had a large and rapidly growing stockpile of enriched uranium. And they were building a heavy water plutonium reactor that was capable of producing weapons-grade plutonium. They had, under a previous administration, refused. There was an inability to be able to come together in a discussion at a time when Iran had only 164 centrifuges. When we began our discussions 2 years ago, they had 19,000 centrifuges. Experts told us that Iran could, if it chose to, obtain enough fissile material for a bomb in as little as 2 months. But under the agreement that we reached in July, every single one of Iran's potential pathways to a bomb is blocked. Specifically, its uranium pathways, its plutonium pathway, and its covert pathway, due to massive cuts in its uranium stockpile, which they agreed to, and reductions in their enrichment capacity, which they agreed to. Iran's so-called breakout time is stretched out from 2 months to 12 months or more for at least a decade or more. And because of the unprecedented monitoring and verification requirements that are part of the agreement, we will know if they try to cheat. And after that 10-year period, there's still a 15-year requirement, there's a 20-year requirement, there's a 25-year requirement, and there's a lifetime requirement. And if at any time during which we are always allowed inspections and verification, if they were to try to cheat, we will know. Our intelligence community and energy department are convinced we will know. And we will be able to reimpose sanctions or, if necessary, stop them by other means. Now, as a result, Iran has every reason to live up to its obligations, just as it has, by the way, throughout the negotiating process, because we actually struck an interim agreement to begin with that tested their bona fides and required them to roll back their program, and they've already done that over a 2-year period. So make no mistake, the most fundamental provisions of this agreement, including the IAEA inspections and protocols, have no expiration date whatsoever. They are forever. That means that Iran will be prevented and prohibited from pursuing a nuclear weapon forever. Now, this agreement came together as a result of tough diplomacy that extended over 2 presidencies. And we began with sanctions, but sanctions were a means, not an end. Only by direct negotiations with support from a broad array of partners, including Russia and China, by the way, were we able to convince Iran's top officials to accept the severe limits on their nuclear program. And we are moving now to the implementation stage, and it is essential that we will maintain our vigilance, our unity of approach, and our common purpose. Now, the Middle East remains a deeply troubled place, but every problem in the region would be made much worse if countries were to move towards nuclear weapons. The Iran agreement is the best way to ensure that this possibility is foreclosed now and for all time. And every nation in the region, including our key allies, is safer because of this agreement.